Mascot Tower owners facing $6,000 a month repayments. Let's have a look. Good evening, everyone. I'm Florian Heise, and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. I'm here with my evening stein, and I thought we would have a look at this article about Mascot Towers that came out earlier today. And it's quite a sad one, actually. The owners are liable for repair payments of $6,000 a month on average. And let's have a look, because some of the owners apparently didn't agree with this repair bill. So Mascot Towers unit owners to pay millions despite voting against repairs. This is the problem when you're in this collective type of arrangement. You know, you have to go along with the majority. You have to go along with the majority. And that's probably enough for me not to actually want to invest or live in one of these buildings now that I come to think about it and my own personality. Owners of units in Mascot Towers have claimed they voted against plans to repair the building, but were told they had no choice but to pay up. Mascot Towers apartment owners have claimed they were forced into agreeing to pay millions for repairs to the stricken building, even after the majority voted against the plans. One unit owner has told news.com.au most residents voted against a $10 million special levy, but were told they'd technically already agreed to pay for remediation works. Well, they probably had. You know what these type of meetings are like. If you haven't been in one, people don't really understand what's going on in some regards. It's kind of they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. The owner, who didn't want his name published, said he watched as executives took over the meeting and within minutes verbaled the unit owners into agreeing to pay a lesser fee of $7 million plus GST. As the changes were made and pushed through the meeting, unit owners were also told to accept paying the loans back over a drastically reduced amount of time of 9 months instead of 15 years. As a result, owners would be expected to fork out almost $6,000 a month on average in repair bills. So almost $6,000 a month. I don't know how, unless you're independently wealthy or you've got the extra capacity or savings, that's going to be a big slug to your monthly finances, whoever you are. And, you know, Mascot Towers in Sydney isn't, I wouldn't say, a ritzy address or a ritzy part of the city. Lanark Strata Finance and the Mascot Towers Owners Corporate have been contacted for comment but have not yet responded. My partner and I are very sad and stressed, the unit owner told news.com.au. I have no idea how I'm going to make this large payment. See, this is the problem. Some people are going to be sent bust. And remember, the government is also providing financial assistance to some of these people. And if they can't manage to take action against a third party, they have to pay all that back too. And then if you want to take action against another party, that costs money as well. So this is not turning into a pleasant situation or a happy scenario for anyone involved. Residents of the troubled residential apartment complex in Mascot, in Sydney's inner south, which includes 132 apartments, were evacuated in mid-June after the facade and structure began disastrously or dangerously deteriorating. I think disastrously sounds better. Since the evacuation, a team of expert engineers have monitored the building and said if millions of dollars of repairs can be funded, the residents can expect to move back in at some stage in the next 3 to 4 months. Well, that's good. That's good. Documents describe the building repairs as taking place in 4 distinct phases. The current works are expected to cost somewhere between 10 to 20 million. I'd like to know what the other phases would cost as well. The unit owners said during the meeting, one concerned party asked if a breakdown of the new costs as a payment schedule. He asked for a breakdown as a payment schedule and was dismissed, told it would be 70% of the previous 10 million proposed costs. That doesn't seem like an unreasonable expectation to have a breakdown of the, pretty much a quantity bill of quantities. Bill of quantities when you're spending that much. This does not take into account that the payment period has been reduced from quarterly payments over 15 years down to 9 equal installments over 9 months, the owner pointed out. He said the changes were quite a different proposition for me and many of the owners. But yeah, that is a huge change. From quarterly payments over 15 years to payment over 9 months. I imagine the $3 million difference isn't just the interest saving over that period. He said these changes were quite a different proposition for me and many of the owners. I've already read that, haven't I? I'm not sure what to do in the following months. I know that there are owners in the same situation as me. I think the process was too rushed for making an informed decision. And this upfront payment. The unit owner who didn't want to be named told news.com.au. Well, there you go. So have they paid an upfront payment of this large an amount? Well, one thing you have to realize is that there was, this damage here that they keep showing in this image has been there for a while. It was there in the dilapidation report prior to the work commencing next door. And I've done a video where we went through the dilapidation report of Mascot Towers that the developer next door did. We go through that and look at some of the damage that was already pre-existing in the building. It'll be interesting to see what actually happens, what comes out of it. But stuff like this, it's concerning. You've got to feel sorry for the people that are in this situation, because the average punter wouldn't have the capacity to determine there were these level of issues in a building. They would expect that they'd receive a certain quality of product, particularly for the amount of money that they're spending. So he said the reason given for the owners being pushed into an amended levy, despite voting it down, was that the remediation motion was accepted earlier in the meeting, therefore the work for stage 1 still needed to be funded. Unlike some apparently wealthy owners, we don't have enough savings to pay our share. My bank declined to extend my home loan on Friday, he said. So there you go. This is the real issue. This is the real issue for a lot of these people. How are they going to be able to raise the money? Will they be driven bankrupt by their own body corporate or their own strata committee? Wouldn't be the first time that happens. The owner told news.com.au the couple had been left with no options but for his partner to sell all their assets to try and keep them afloat for the time being. He said these drastic changes were made quickly before being put to a vote again. He said the decisions were made 4 hours into a stressful meeting, and he had grave concerns over the ethical conduct of those involved. It was after 11 p.m, and we were all overloaded with information for 4 hours, he said. He suggested those presenting on the night delivered a one-sided account of how remediation work would be completed by summer, and that this was their last chance. Well, it may be their last chance, to be quite honest. Often when you do something like this, it'll get worse over time, and there's only one path of action. There's only one path of action, and a lot of the people involved in the project or on these committees probably don't have that understanding or that professional knowledge to make that decision. So I can see why it is a bit one-sided, because this is emergency remediation works of a building. This isn't design options, and you got to make sure you do it right. You got to make sure it doesn't bugger up again. Because think about the people taking on the risk of this project, doing the repair work on this project. Would you do it? Let me know in the comments, guys, if you're in the building game. Would you take on this job? Or would you say, nah, sorry, I don't want my brand associated with Opal or Mascot. I don't want my sign on the hoardings in front of the building doing the repair work. A senior executive from the Department of Fair Trading attended the meeting as an observer. News.com.au understands this representative didn't voice concerns about conduct in the meeting. Well, there you go. If that a representative there, hopefully that means the meeting was run appropriately, and I would suspect it may have been. I think they don't have many options, and it's kind of sad. Detailed meeting minutes were sent out to unit owners at the beginning of August, ahead of the meeting. However, the changes for funding to the first phase of repairs were made without residents being able to see details of the plan. That's concerning. That's concerning that the residents weren't given time to review this, and they should. There's no excuse. It's not like they didn't have enough time to do all of this. Other details were projected onto screens throughout the meeting, but the alterations agreement and new plans were made verbal before being voted on by unit owners. While the payment amount had been reduced from 10 million to 7 million, not including GST, the unit owners who claimed that the payment period was altered from 15 years to just 9 months. Owners had previously been told the loans would be financed to the owner's corporate at 7.7% by landlocked strata finance and repaid over 15 years. Unit owners from the troubled towers recently addressed the media as a group, saying they felt the prospect of being forced into crippling debt sets a dangerous precedent for our homeowners. Well, it's a tough situation to be in, because that's the risk of buying any home. I mean, I've got to do some repair work on my home. I'm not going to get any money given to me for it. I got to earn it. The state's newly appointed building commissioner, David Chandler, last week called Mascot Towers embarrassing and suggested the builder didn't know how to read construction plans after visiting the troubled complex himself. I'm quite certain the builder didn't know how to read any construction plans, because the faults that are in that building are simply someone who didn't pay any attention to them, Mr. Chandler told a New South Wales parliamentary inquiry. I'm embarrassed, frankly, that the industry has allowed a product like Mascot Towers to turn up on the market. It'll be one of many. It'll be one of many, sadly. We saw Melbourne this morning. Another building evacuated. Documents obtained by news.com.au earlier this month showed the troubled apartment complex had numerous faults, and engineers had suggested that neighbouring development works at the Peak Towers on Church Ave could be a factor in the building deteriorating over recent years. This has been strongly rejected by the developer of the Peak Towers, Alan Developments. Well, yes, I mean, they're making a claim, but it needs to be proven. I wouldn't be jumping to the conclusions, particularly after looking at the DLAP report and comments from several years ago about lack of maintenance on Mascot. Alan remains completely confident that an independent investigation will confirm that the failures at Mascot Towers are unrelated to construction nearby, a spokesperson told AAP in a statement last week. We believe the comments of the building commissioner at the New South Wales parliamentary inquiry support Alan's contention that the problems at Mascot Towers predate any work undertaken by Alan. News.com.au contacted Landlocked Strata Finance and the spokesman for the Mascot Towers Owners Corp for comment, but did not receive a response in time for publication. So, the Mascot Towers saga continues and reaches another stage. Honestly, I feel sorry for these people. The prospect, of being slagged with another $6,000 a month just to be able to get your house repaired. Still, they can't live in it till it's repaired. That's tough for anyone. That's really tough for anyone. Anyway, guys, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.